All right, welcome back to the Construction Game Podcast. Super excited to be here with you this week talking about how to hire people in the office to help take things off your plate. Every contractor's dream, right? So last weekend was really cool. My wife and daughter went to a pool party for my daughter's school, and me and my son went to a pool party for one of my subcontractor friends' kids. And it was really cool because my wife and daughter got a chance to spend some one-on-one time together, and it was really cool for me and my son to spend some one-on-one time together. We were in the pool. They had a really cool food truck, so we were eating good food. And then we got a chance to spend some time with my subcontractor friend and his kids, and got a chance to see him spend time with his kids, spend time with his friends, spend time with his family, and see how he operates. And they're really good people, and we do a lot of business together and look forward to doing more business together. So thinking about hiring people in the office, and I remember my first hire. I remember going to this mastermind, and at the mastermind, the leader of the mastermind was like, hey, you got to hire an assistant. So I was like, I got to go hire an assistant. So I came back, put out the job description, started getting some resumes, and interviewed like 10 people, and like, I'm going to hire that lady. And she came in and she did really well, right? And it was a huge eye-opening experience for me. When you bring someone in that assistant role, they need to know everything about you. And at the time, I had some trust issues. But for that person to really do their job properly, I had to give them my usernames. I had to give them my passwords. I had to give them all of my personal information so the person could actually take things off my plate and add value. So I had to do it. And it was a huge learning experience for me at that time. It also was a great time because prior to that, I didn't really have anybody in the office. So literally everything was on my computer. And when we brought that person on, now all of a sudden we started creating our cloud folder system. So now both people could be operating off of the same sets of documents through our cloud system. So it was a really good experience from, helping formalize and systemize the business, right? And then my next hire was a person that was helping me out on the projects, right? Like helping put together submittals, helping put together RFIs, quality control plans, safety plans, submitting our invoices to the government, all of those things. And that was cool because now all of a sudden we can get all of those things not just stuck on my plate, but someone else could be working on those things when I was in a meeting, or if I was doing a site visit, or if I was, helping on another project. We can have those other projects continue to be moving forward. So I like that role, right? But one of the things I realized with that role is like, man, if things go wrong with that person, we're losing money. And what I mean by that is, once you're in a project and you have the project, you're executing on the project. If you're not executing properly, then you're losing money. And I didn't like that feeling. So our next hire was the finance person. And literally that was the best hire we could have ever made. And I remember talking to that person on the phone when we were doing the interview process. And I literally was so nervous because this was a person that was working at a $1 billion company at the time. They were now all of a sudden interviewing with me, and we were $10 million company. And, I was telling them all the people we were going to impact and all the jobs we were going to do and all the things we were going to accomplish in the marketplace, but we hadn't done it yet. And I was just nervous. And that hire said yes. He believed in the vision. He believed where we were going, and he came on board, and he literally took so much stuff off my plate from a finance and bookkeeping standpoint. Literally all of that stuff came off my plate. And that was like the first hire that was like, boom, rock solid. And they were not just a junior level person. They were like a high level person that literally had more mastery in the finance department than I did. And that was the type of hire that I really needed at the time, because I didn't need to be answering a bunch of questions about like, how do I upload invoices, and what's an asset versus a liability, or what's income versus an expense? Like, I needed someone to literally come in and literally take all of that stuff off my plate and make it better. And that's exactly what that person did. And those are the type of people that I recommend hiring in the beginning, right? Is that person that literally takes the things that you're not good at, right? And that person literally came in on the finance side, and like, I was okay at finance. I was all self-taught with QuickBooks Online and all of the bookkeeping and data entry and all that stuff. I was all self-taught. But this person had been training on it for like decades at the time. And they literally came in and literally took all of that stuff off my plate. So if I had to do it again, I would have made that hire first, not the assistant, not the person that was helping me out in the projects. I would have made that hire, because as soon as I made that hire, that finance team hire, it literally freed me up to get better at the running the projects, to get better at estimating and get better at the little assistant thing that I was having my assistant do. All right. So then, that finance person was rock solid. And then the next hire that we made was an estimator. And at the time I was, running the projects and also estimating projects. And we had this project that I was running from a project management standpoint that was going south. I mean, I had a team member that was in the field and he was a superintendent. He was like, hey, I want more responsibility. I want to help you out more. And I also want to make more money. And I was like, great. That was awesome. I want you to make more money. And I want you to take on more responsibility. And I also had a kid coming at the time. It was my baby girl, my first kid. And I wanted help. I wanted to hand off some of the responsibilities. And I had been training this person for like almost a decade up until this point. I was like, great, yeah, let's do it. And the next thing you know, this person's literally sleeping in the car when they should be running the job. So I get a better understanding of where the job's at, and it's a mess. So I had to literally, from a project management standpoint, jump back in full speed and correct a bunch of these issues that were happening. Like we were installing these fence posts, and these fence posts were like, they blew holes in it with a torch instead of drilling holes in it. So like literally we had to tear out all of these fence posts. It was a complete mess. All right. And it was a dogfight. These people wanted to basically throw us off the job. And obviously I didn't want to get thrown off the job. We had done like almost $100 million worth of work up until that point, and we had no bad reviews. And all of a sudden we're starting to get some bad reviews. And I'm like, man, we had to really correct that thing. But we're a disciplined organization and we do everything we said we're going to do. So we tore it all out. We took the Mike Tyson hit to the chin, and, because all of that stuff came out of our pocket, and we tore it all out and redid it all and made it look nice and made it look how we would want it done, right? At our house, right? So it came out great. But during that time, that estimator that I had was still submitting bids. They were still putting our bids out into the marketplace. And I knew they were because I was reviewing them with her, right? But I didn't understand the impact of it until after that project was done, because I had literally got done slaying the dragon. We finally got the project to the finish line. It sucked up a ton of time and energy. And I personally wasn't bidding projects on my own, but our estimator was. So when that project was done, I was like, oh, now I'm going to have to sprint and start getting a bunch of projects again. But instead, that person that was doing the estimating had won a bunch of projects while I was slaying those dragons. And I was like, whoa, this is how you run a real business. This is how you run a real business. You have different departments that are moving the business forward, even when I'm doing something else, right? So our estimating team was moving the business forward while I was knee deep in project management trying to save the business. And once that project was over, we had these other projects to continue to execute on because we had business from that estimator. So the estimator was also a massive hire for the organization, for the growth of the organization. And that hire was awesome. We had right after the finance guy, we hired the estimating lead. And that was like a game changer for the organization, because they literally took things off my plate and built the estimating machine that we currently have now. And those are the type of hires that I recommend you make it in the beginning, right? Not the hires that are going to, bog you down because they don't have mastery over the thing and they need a bunch of questions answered. It's like, it doesn't work. For me, it didn't work. And it really bogged me down when I was, so busy answering questions that were like the person should have known, versus me providing support to someone that can take the thing to the next level. And once I got a clear understanding of that, then I was like, okay, we need these people. And then those people then can hire the junior level people to then answer their questions, right? And that was a huge eye opener for me. Like, oh, wow, okay. Now that person that I have in that seat can now help answer all of the questions that come up when you bring on junior people that don't have as much mastery, right? And that was a big thing for me. And estimating was a thing that really helped grow the business. And then I stayed in the project management side, because at the same time, like I told you before, project management, if you make mistakes in the project management side, it's costing you money. It's costing you big money. And that's the money that you need to then pay the people on the finance team and the estimating team. So it's a very fine line to maintain the brand out there in the marketplace when you're on the execution side. So the execution side was always really hard for me. And we've now have found out what really works for bringing people over to the project management side. And what really works for us is literally having those people go through the estimating side. And once they've proven that they can start a project, estimate it, and win it, then great, you can now come over to the project management side. And it's really good to have them over there on the estimating side, because worst case scenario, you give someone a project to estimate. It takes a month for them to start the estimation and to submitting their bid, right? So in that month time frame, you realize whether the person understands how to read plans and how to read specs, how if they can get on the phone and call subcontractors, or do they just look at the documents and not take any action? Like, I'd rather figure that out on the estimating side of things versus figuring out on the project management side of things, where now it's costing us money. So yeah, when we bring people in on the project management side, they always come through on the estimating side first, because on the estimating side, we get a chance to see their skill set very quickly. And it's apparent so quickly on that review, and that after that month that they've had that project, did they find subcontractors? Did they not find subcontractors? Did they come to the review with their estimate built out, or did they come to the review scrambling trying to put it together? Like, you see the organization level of the person, right? And if they're unorganized on the front end, they're definitely going to be unorganized on the back end. But on the back end, it's now costing you money. Whereas on the front end, worst case scenario, yeah, we paid for one of our team members to go to the site visit. Yes, we spent the money on getting an estimate taken off on the project. And we spent money, putting together our bid. But like, worst case scenario, we just say, hey, we're not bidding that project anymore. I'd rather just wash that away than get on the project and realize that the bid was wrong and we now lose millions of dollars, right? I'd rather lose 10 grand versus $1 million, right? So yeah, we love finding our project managers through having them work on the estimating side. And then once they start running the projects, great, let's go execute it on it. And nobody should know that project better than the estimator, right? Because they already have talked to the subs. They already know they've already looked through the plans. They've already looked through the specs. So it actually helps speed up the project management side, because on the project management side, now all of a sudden they don't need to do that deep dive. They've already done the deep dive because they estimated the project. So bringing those people in on the office side are huge. They help take things off the plate. They give the organization capacity. And that's the biggest difference from when we were a $10 million company to where we are now going to be an $80 million company, is we have capacity in the organization. We have people that are putting together estimates, and it's not just me. We have people doing the finance team, and it's not just me. We have people managing the projects, and it's not just me. And we have people out there in the field executing and making sure our subcontractors and our own personnel that are installing things are doing it properly. It takes a team. It takes a team. It takes a team. And those office team members, they're really, really important if you're really committed to growing and scaling and taking your business to the next level. Because if you're not willing to take your business to the next level, which I said I did in the beginning when I first started, but I wasn't that committed, because I wasn't committed to bringing in the office team that has given the organization the capacity to go to the next level. And once I got committed to it, because there was a lot of bumps and bruises and learnings throughout that, right? Bringing on new team members and dealing with different personalities and understanding like who's a good fit, who's not a good fit. Having team members say, hey, they're telling you in the interview that they want work-life balance, and then you like, oh yeah, great, work-life balance. And then all of a sudden, when things get crazy in the organization, they're still talking about that work-life balance. Now, that's like a red flag. Someone's telling you work-life balance on the interview, like they come in and like they're gonna be wanting that same thing, but like if their projects that they are running are not doing well, they're still going to want that work-life balance. And now all of a sudden, who's all of their responsibilities going to fall back on? Me. But they're going to be getting the reward for the project. So it doesn't work that way. Like, we got to all be in alignment, and work-life balance is great. But like, I'd rather have a person say, hey, I got a big goal and a big target, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Because now all of a sudden we have a team member that's willing to put in the time, energy, and effort to get their projects in a good spot. And if their project is in a good spot and it gets in a bad spot, they're willing to put the time, energy, and effort to get the project out of a bad spot and back to a good spot. So the office team is extremely important in terms of giving capacity to the organization. And it's literally giving capacity to our organization. For us, it started off with the finance team that really gave capacity to the organization. And we hired high-level people so that they could then run that department, and then they could hire the other people in the organization to really help fuel that division, right? Then we hired the estimator, and then that person was committed and willing to build, and then they built out the estimating side of things, right? And then we put people on the estimating side that have then flipped over to the project management side, and those people have now come in and helped build the organization, add capacity to the organization, help us run more projects at the same time, which is how you make money in construction, is running a bunch of projects at the same time and having all of those projects be successful. And that is exactly what we've done. And it's given us tremendous capacity in the organization, and it's taken things off my plate and freed me up to do even more things in the organization and get even more refined through the organization and streamline our processes, right? Not for me to just go chill and hang out, right? I'm still in the office every single day, pushing and scrapping and clawing. And that's why we are growing. I'm not hanging out on my boat. I don't even have a boat, but if I did have a boat, I'm not hanging out on my boat. Because that's what it takes. If you want to, we went from 10 to 20, 20 to 40. This year, we're trying to go to 80. And we're not trying, we will go to 80. And the only way you do that is by putting everything you got into the game. And what I mean by everything you got, it's not only just money resources, it's also your time, your energy, and your effort. And through all of that, and building with a great team, it helps take things off your plate so that you can then go and achieve more. So if you agree that you need some help in the office, let me know by smashing that subscribe button. And if you know a contractor that's trying to build out their office team, share this video with them so they can get some tidbits on how I was able to hire my first office personnel. And there were some good hires and there were some bad hires, but I now figured out really where we want to hire first. And that was finding high-level people. I got the finance stuff off my plate, focus on the estimating, because at the end of the day, you need projects to even get your project management team to even work on. So focus on estimating second, and then boom, get your project managers to help run these projects to the finish line. Let's roll and have a great day.